This morning I watched a clip from, I think it was the BBC. One of their reporters was embedded with a Ukrainian territorial defense unit or militia. And in this video, the militia showed them how they've had to adapt their tactics because of changes on the battlefield up around Kharkov. And what I got from the report, I was able to somewhat come up with maybe a battle drill on this, or at least a technique. And that is high-speed vehicle deployment for attack or ambush. And in this one, we're basically taking the idea of the light vehicle raiders, something that was a request when this channel was new. People were wondering, well, how can we use fast, small vehicles in resistance operations? And that's being done quite effectively in Ukraine. Obviously, we're not getting up-to-the-minute intel on it, those of us that are not in the military anymore. So we got to go off of what we can find in the news. So what we have in this situation, we have a resistance unit, a guerrilla unit that wants to hit the enemy. They're either going to do a quick lightning attack, hit and run, or they're going to do a harassment on an enemy position, or they're going to get into position ahead of an enemy column quickly to perform an ambush. Now, the vehicles that we're seeing employed are not too much different than what we've seen employed in Afghanistan and Iraq. They're small, lightweight. So smaller pickup trucks along the lines of your Nissans, your Toyotas, Ford Rangers, Chevy S10s. Small, light, compact trucks. You can toss people in back, use them as troop carriers. You can mount a crew served on it also to provide some fire support. But realize if you're going up against an enemy who's got especially armor, like in this drawing here, your vehicle that you're using as fire support's not going to last more than a couple shots or one missile before it's wiped off of the face of the earth. It's turned into scrap metal. Other vehicles that we're seeing used on the battlefield include ATVs, obviously. We're also seeing Gator type vehicles, which this stuff's being brought in from the West, donated in Europe and that stuff. And we're also seeing a heavy use of lighter, smaller SUVs, things that are going to be able to get in easier and around wreckage, through the woods, that type of stuff. So along the lines of Jeeps, or what were those? We used to see them a lot in Korea. The little Korean version of Jeeps, Kia frontages or something like that. Small, compact vehicles. Lightweight, so if you got an area like you have to cross a bridge that's damaged, it's going to put less stress on the structure compared to a heavier vehicle. Now, the equipment carried by the troops must also be more lightweight because you're going in lightning fast. You don't want to be loaded down heavy with gear. Heaviest weapons you probably should have with you would be a 60mm mortar, general purpose machine guns along the lines of the PKM series, the M240, the Mag 58s, MG3s. Lighter anti-tank weapons like Law rockets, M136s, and Laws. Also man-portable anti-tank guided missiles like the Javelin, like the AT-13. Your fire and forget, because as soon as you fire off that missile, you got to get out of that firing position and move to the next one, because there's going to be a world of hurt coming your direction. You could also see them having 1 or 2 man pads, man portable air defense systems, your SA-16s, your Stingers. Something that doesn't require a mount on the ground. It's just a system that's there with you. You jump out the back of the vehicle, toss it up on your shoulder, you start scanning. Another piece of equipment that I don't doubt is being used is your small off-the-shelf quadcopter drones with cameras on them. We've seen heavy uses of those in Ukraine. Now, for the equipment of the individual soldier themselves, it's going to be their body armor, their ammo, what they need for the operation, maybe an assault pack or day pack on their back in case things go wrong and they have to escape and evade to get back to friendly lines or friendly position. Now, before you commit to the operation, you're going to need as much intel as you can. Obviously, that's a given. You need to know where the enemy's at, you know, what type of forces are in the area, what are their capabilities. You need to know that before you even start planning the operation. And then before you deploy up on there, everyone needs to know what to expect. They need to know the layout of the area as much as possible. Distances and all that. Now what I seen happen in the report it was tree lines, village, and then just grassland in between. I added an obstacle in here just to close off that route. What they did, they came in, they seen the enemy, you know, they seen a tank up on the hill on the other side, hidden in beside the trees. They came in, dropped people off, and then got the vehicle out of there as fast as possible. So in our little battle drill here, we know the enemy is blocking off a road here past the town. They're using these open areas here as their kill zones. They have the town thoroughly sighted in for indirect fires. It's all pre-plotted. They can call up and say, enemy occupying building Alpha 7, and they'll have a mortar round or two going right into Alpha 7 within seconds. But you're going to want to come up unobserved. Stay out of enemy observation. Now, if a road is paved, you don't got to worry about dust. But if you're coming up on a country road, you got to remember you're going to have that dust cloud unless the road is very wet. And whenever you screech to a halt, that dust cloud is going to get bigger and it's going to overtake you and continue forward. It acts like a big flare saying, hey, here I am, put rounds in my direction. So be careful of that. Come up, park out of observation. Everyone dismounts as quick as possible and they run to the positions already decided, already assigned to them in their operations order. Every team needs to know where to go. If you have a mortar, they need to have an idea where they need to set up, so that all they have to do is get their vehicle near that position. Mortar team runs out, drops down. 2 people get the mortar set up. 1 or 2 people pop down cases of ammo, which is already pre-fused, ready to go. And as soon as they get the word, they start dropping the rounds in on the target as fast as they can. When they get the order to pull back, they pick everything up, pack it quickly. Everything's just there, ready to go. You don't take the rounds out of the crate unless you're getting ready to drop it right in a tube. You don't lay them across the ground. Grab the stuff, then run back in the vehicle and pull out. Anti-tank weapons teams and that stuff, same thing. Man pads, same thing. But we get up here. We dismount as fast as possible. Everyone runs to get into position. They should have somewhat of an idea of how far forward the enemy can see. Once you get up to about that edge, that's when you go into your creep to get into your final battle position, your attack position. Get up into position here. If you got people that are supposed to be on the other side, well, you're either going to have to make a long loop around to get over there, or your vehicles are just going to have to shoot across as fast as possible. And as soon as you're on the other side, behind some type of cover, you dismount and the vehicles continue on. Now, if you are on a dirt road, something that you could potentially do is use that dust cloud to your advantage. Come up, screech to the halt, everyone dismounts, and then gun it, keep going. Let that advancing dust cloud in the wind make it look like you were still going ahead, that you hadn't stopped. Everyone needs to be able to get off of that vehicle, out of that vehicle in like half a second, as quick as possible. There's going to be no stopping, waiting. Okay, everyone get out, grab your bag from the back. Okay, let's get this off the side. No. As soon as you stop, you're jumping out and that vehicle is taken off. The vehicles will then pull back to a pre-designated rally position or positions. I really would recommend have one vehicle, maybe two vehicles designated as the ambulances for an emergency. Maybe have one or two litters or more, depending on the size of the force you're sending up. A few litters ready there on those vehicles, so when the casualties come up, you can pull the driver and the vehicle commander can pull that litter off of the vehicle, slap it down on the ground, casualty gets put on it, and the litter loaded on the vehicle, and your combat lifesaver, your medic, takes care of them at that point. But we get up into position, hopefully without the enemy observing. Everyone dismounts, moves quicks up into their battle positions. They set up their weapons. Once again, everyone needs to have and understand what are the conditions for pulling out. Whether it's firing a certain number of rounds, destroying a particular target as the signal, or is it a radio call? This type of operation, you're going to want good communications between the individual teams and the vehicles. It may come to a point where the fire's too heavy up here. You cannot pull back for whatever reason to get to your rally point. You may have to call the vehicles up to come up on a concealed route. You mount up and then hightail it out at a high rate of speed. I am not a big proponent on vehicles being included in guerrilla operations. You should already know the reasons for that. In case you don't, it's because vehicles require maintenance. They require spare parts. They require POL products, petroleums, oils, and lubricants. They're going to require regular maintenance to keep them in operation. And all that is going to require a very good logistics system behind it, either pre-positioned stocks or a continuous flow of supplies in to keep your vehicles going. Now, could this be modified for something other than your pickup trucks and SUVs? Yes. You could easily do this with horses. You could do this with motorcycles. You could do this with mountain bikes or just bicycles, period. All the vehicle does, it gets you up there. You then dismount, maneuver forward, get into position, launch your attack, pull back, and get out of there. Basic hit and run guerrilla tactics, just updated for the modern age. Now, I mentioned the drones. What could you use the drone for? Well, as soon as everyone's dismounted and we're moving forward into position, our drone gets launched from back here, swings around, goes high, and checks the area, confirms, okay, is the enemy still there, or do we just have a couple damaged abandoned tanks up there made to look like someone's in the position? Scan it, confirm the enemy's there, and then you launch your assault. Maybe use your drone as your forward observer so you can see, hey, I need to shift my mortars, which are landing here. The enemy's more located in this position, so you tell the mortar team, shift to there. That type of operation. Now, I mentioned the man-pad teams, the air defense team. They need to be located in an area that will cover you, because they're going to have good observation and nothing that will interfere with the flight of the missile once it is launched. Because for all you know, these guys could have on-call helicopter gunship support. And as soon as the attack's going in, they call for a gunship. It could be relatively close. It comes in to start taking you out, maybe find your vehicles, take them out. Well, that's when your man-pad, your Stinger, your SA-16, your Grail needs to take that helicopter out. While you're also egressing the area, you're heading back to friendly lines, also at a high rate of speed. You know, we used to have a saying in the mechanized forces, speed is our camouflage. And that really comes into play when you're in a light vehicle with no armor. When you're moving out of the area, your man-pad team needs to still be on the ready in the back of a vehicle. If you notice a helicopter is approaching, that vehicle needs to stop. That gunner get up into position either in the back of the vehicle or jumps out to the side of the vehicle, fires off their missile, you know, drops the expended tube on the ground, grabs the command launch unit, jumps in the back of the truck. You Charlie Mike, you know, speed out of there as fast as possible, load up the next round onto the launch unit in case you got to do a follow-on shot. Could you use crew-served weapons on the vehicles to support this type of operation? Yes. Everyone would dismount back here, or over there, whichever side you would come from. Your crew-served, you're going to want something, say, along the lines of a 50 caliber or 14.5 millimeter. I would not go too much heavier than that, because then you're going to have to get a heavier vehicle. You want light, you want fast. Could you mount a weapon system on back, vehicle mounted weapon system for an anti-tank missile along the lines of a tow? Yes, you could, but once again, you know, as soon as you fire it, you're going to have to get the hell out of Dodge, and with a tow, you got to keep it on target for a while. You're better off going with the fire and forget type missiles along the lines of the Javelin and the AT-13. That's some of the things I could come up with for a tactic that is currently being used in Ukraine, how we could potentially adapt it for our purposes. How would this work for an ambush? That'd be simple. You got intel, the enemy's coming down a particular road. Well, you deploy your force, you decide, hey, we're going to put in an ambush at this location because we know the terrain. This will give us the best advantage for an ambush. Vehicle gets up there, everyone dismounts, gets into their ambush positions. The vehicles pull off to a hide position. You know, already we told them, hey, we're going to meet you at Bob's Bait and Gas. That's on the side road over here. That'll be the rally point. Well, all the vehicles then go there. They hide around that gas station under the cover or whatever. Ambush happens. Everyone pulls out, or they get on the radio, say enemy destroyed, come forward. Vehicles then move up to the ambush position. You load everything up, pull out of the area, or you hit them in the ambush. You don't wipe them out. You then go along your agreed upon escape routes back to link up with your vehicles at that gas station, and you head out on another road. There you go. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essay ons.